You're listening to The Scrimmage with Daniel Hargrove and Justin Domashevitz.
Mariners?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
So hot.
So hot. I feel like that's a movie quote.
Want to touch the hiney?
So
Yeah,
hot
what
right
is that from? What is that? That's the movie quote that I was thinking. What is it?
I'm picturing Adam Sandler saying
Yes,
it.
it's
it
probably
Billy Madison?
It's probably Billy Madison then. Although really you could probably interchange that into like most of his
Hey
movies.
Siri,
Hey,
where does so hot want to touch the hiney come from?
That's very brave of you.
very brave Google search.
It is Billy Madison.
There you go. Okay. That is the Mariners right now. It's insane. They've won 14 straight games. Just happened just now, going into the All-Star break. You will most likely listen to this before they play another game. So that is also fun because most of the time we're like, as of now, like you could listen to this 2 days later and it would totally change. Mm-hmm. I'm Daniel Hargrove, by the way.
I'm Justin Domashevitz. We also have our trusty producer, Andrew Gross, here with us. We are brought to you by Ole Penn Real Estate and the law office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz. What you were saying about the Mariners, though?
Yes.
Before we go into the 2-minute drill.
Okay.
I found a podcast. Actually, I found it kind of by happenstance because somebody commented on one of our tweets.
Gotcha.
And I clicked on that person and I realized, oh, this person has a Mariners podcast. So I listened to it, and it was right after the road trip. Right before the winning streak, when things were going real bad. And they were burying the team and wondering what assets were going to be traded away. And by the time I listened to it, it was a week and a half old. And I was like, ha, you guys were wrong.
That would have been right around
That's
when
awesome.
Daniel and I were agreeing that there was at least some positive things to pin our hopes.
Yes.
I think.
There was, and it took me a bit to come around. I feel like you were higher on the positive train than I was, but you started to sway me, and then all of a sudden they won 5 in a row, or they won a couple series, and then they beaned Mike Trout, or they didn't even bean Mike Trout.
They got beaned.
They got beaned after Mike Trout felt like they were trying to hit him.
His feelings were hurt.
His feelings were
Nothing
hurt.
was physically hurt, but his feelings were hurt.
very hurt.
Yeah,
very
poor
upset.
Mike Trout.
Yeah, poor Mike Trout.
Let's all take a moment to feel bad for Mike Trout.
He also doesn't get to play in the All-Star game because his back hurts.
Or ever in the playoffs.
His back hurts.
That's not because of his back.
His back hurts from trying to carry. Oh wait, no, Shohei Ohtani carries them now. Yeah,
They carry them together.
but not very
And they're both
well.
looking at Rendon, being like, "Dude, can you help us out with this a little bit?"
The tweet that
He's like, I'm carrying.
just a little bit.
Rendon is the guy when you're moving, and somebody's carrying, but you got 2 guys on both sides of a super heavy desk, and then there's a guy behind directing traffic, waving his arms around. Don't pinch your fingers in the door. That's Rendon.
Gotcha. That's even worse than I was gonna say. I was gonna say he's the person who like sidles up to the middle of it to try and take some weight off, but is really doing nothing.
And then when you get to the door, they can't go with you anyway, so they kind of
Exactly.
have to bail.
Yeah, exactly. I've been that position multiple times.
Or is carrying like the moving blanket behind, going, here, I got the blanket for when you guys get into the truck.
See, my move when you're moving, if there's a lot of people, is always try to be the first one into the truck, because then you're just directing traffic.
Yes.
That's the way to go.
The last time I was moving, I decided to stay in the truck because we were unloading at that point, and I just was like the guy who gets the stuff to the ledge of the truck.
Yes.
That's the best
That is a
job.
pro move.
Yeah.
To be fair, Justin, you are uniquely not even gifted. You've done a lot of
Qualified.
work. Qualified. Yes, you're uniquely qualified to fit things into the truck.
True.
As am I, because of the jobs that we've had. So
Good point.
yeah, so we're actually being helpful.
This last time was one of the few times I've helped people move where there wasn't like a professional mover to like kind of directing traffic, or at least someone who maybe they haven't done it professionally, but they're sober.
They're sober.
They're sober.
That's a good start.
That's a good start.
So number one, they're
No.
sober, but also
They're so uber like organized that they want to like fit everything perfectly in Tetris style.
Yeah.
And the last time I helped someone move was the first time that hasn't been the case. not surprising, something got broken in transit. It wasn't major. It wasn't major. It was like a random like flower planter or something like that. But I will say that it was only like an 8-minute drive to the next place. And so it just made me realize the importance of the anal retentive people who are usually in charge of packing things into moving vans.
Let's get it going with the 2-minute drill.
Let's go. Hurry up. Gotta hurry. Hey, 2-minute situation. 44 seconds. Hand the ball around. Gonna do it right. 3 jet Buckeye on 1 3.
The 2-minute drill starts now.
The Seattle Kraken selected centerman Shane Wright with the 4th overall pick in the NHL draft. Many experts thought Wright would be the top overall pick. Daniel, did the Kraken get lucky?
Absolutely. Not only was he the favorite going into the draft of being the number 1 pick, slogans were made up, just reminiscent of Suck for Luck. Or what was yours for Suck for Sam?
Yeah.
That didn't work out. But
Tank for Tua.
Tank for Tua, Price is Right is what they're saying. Pain for Shane for teams last year tanking. And they lucked into him. 3 teams who picked ahead of Seattle said that they had different needs. That could be a possibility. Some said that maybe it was an attitude maturity thing. I think that you get a young kid like this actually into the NHL, provide him with some leadership, provide him with all of the massive amount of budget that you had in training, and he will reach his full potential, especially when he comes in and all of a sudden he's going to be playing with a young guy like Matty Beniers, who, when he started playing last year after he was picked up for the Kraken, once he finished playing college, because they drafted him, then he finished his college season, then he came in to start playing for the Kraken. Not only did he do awesome, but the team started winning games at the end. Like, that might be one of the reasons why they had the 4th pick, is because he was so good. So I think you bring Wright in alongside him, and I think that'll be a big help. They absolutely lucked into this one. GG Jackson, the top men's basketball. GG, does that stand for good game?
It's Greg something.
Okay. GG Jackson, the top men's basketball prospect for the class of 2023, decommitted from North Carolina last week. Ooh, when I read this last time, I thought he committed to North Carolina.
Ooh, yeah.
I'm
no,
sorry.
he already did that a couple months ago.
Ooh. Jackson is the first player in Tar Heel basketball history to decommit. Justin, how are you doing? Is this why you missed the show last week? Are you okay?
It's a factor. No, I really feel like what happened was GG, he was the number 8 overall prospect, and then as this season has gone on and a lot of the basketball that's going on right now, he's gotten better and better, and he's flying up the rankings. There had been talk of him reclassifying and coming into play this year instead of next year, but North Carolina's not a really good option for that because the roster is totally stacked this year and their scholarships are full. So I think what happened was his performance in recent basketball tournaments, especially the top 100 tournament that he totally dominated within the last month or so, has made him reconsider how ready he is to play college basketball. He wanted to come in this year instead. North Carolina's not ready for it, so he's going to decommit, probably go to South Carolina, which is actually a little bit closer to his home, and it's where his mommy wanted him to go. So I feel like that's
understandable.
Probably what's going to happen. He's probably going to get a fat check for NIL money because the Gamecocks don't have much of anybody else there that's worth any NIL money. And I think ultimately, Tar Heel fans, please just understand this is a young kid trying to make huge decisions about what he's going to do with his life, when and where. Give him a little bit of grace and don't be a jackass.
Gamecock fans are going to love that.
The Washington Nationals reportedly are open to trading star outfielder Juan Soto after the 23-year-old turned down a 15-year, $440 million offer, which would be the largest contract in MLB history. Daniel, is Soto making a mistake?
Absolutely not. This guy is an absolute generational talent. He is amazing. He's already won a World Series ring. And not only did he win that World Series, but he was awesome in that World Series. He hit .333. He had 3 home runs, 7 RBIs, 9 hits, 2 doubles. He's proven what he needed to do at Washington. Why lock yourself down for 15 years when you're amazing to a contract? Who knows what inflation's going to keep doing in this country? It's bizarre. Why lock yourself into a 15-year contract? Don't do it.
That $30 million a year might not even pay for gas.
Oh, don't make me cry. Whew. Last week, NBA veteran Andre Iguodala said that if Rasheed Wallace were dropped into today's game, he would be a top 5 player. I agree with that. And went on to say that Wallace could be better than Giannis. Okay, now I'm not so sure. Justin, what on earth is Iguodala trying to say and doesn't make any sense? And why did he pick Rasheed Wallace to talk about?
Well, actually, that's interesting because
No, it's not.
for context, not to disobey the buzzer, but for
You can go
context,
ahead.
it started with a conversation about teams who had won the finals without a star, without a top 5 player. And the guy that was interviewing Andre Iguodala pointed out, well, the Pistons did that.
Yeah.
And then Iguodala pointed out, well, I mean, I get what you're saying, but like skill set wise, they had Rasheed Wallace, who at the time, and I think if you look back, my completely unbiased opinion, not because he's a Tar Heel and not because he's a former Portland Trailblazer, I think Rasheed Wallace is one of the most underappreciated talents in NBA history. I think
he was so good.
His size, the fact that he could shoot, and the fact that he could play on the perimeter at 6'10", 6'11", was underappreciated in his era. And also, he was a phenomenal defensive player.
Yeah.
But Rasheed Wallace never wanted to be the guy. It wasn't his thing. He wanted to play basketball. He didn't want to have the pressure of being the leader and being the star. So he focused much more on all the other little things like playing defense, getting rebounds, working within the structure of the offense, and getting technical fouls.
There you go.
And,
I was waiting for it.
Yeah. So
Intimidating
he had
officials.
too many other things to worry about being the star. But it was like, remember when Charles Barkley way back in the day said, I don't want to be a role model. Like it wasn't him saying, I think I should be able to do whatever I want. It was him saying, I'm not built to have the pressure of being a role model. So teach your children how to behave on your own.
Yeah.
And I feel like Rasheed was kind of the same in the way that, he wanted to be an example of the right way to play basketball. He didn't necessarily want to be the guy who was giving a hype up speech in the locker room or the guy who like all the fans were adoring. It wasn't his thing.
Yeah.
But Rasheed Wallace's skill set in the prime of his career was terrifying because he was a matchup nightmare.
Yeah.
Because he was monstrously huge, really strong, and good on the perimeter and inside. So if he had had the drive that Giannis does to be great and do everything great and be a star and be a leader, then if you drop him in today's game, he could be better than Giannis, possibly. But it wasn't who he was.
Yeah.
And he had a great NBA career, 4-time All-Star, 1-time NBA champion, all on his own. So
Yeah.
I get what Iguodala was saying. Absent context, it sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
I also don't think Rasheed Wallace dropped in today's game would be better than Giannis.
I don't think he would because he wasn't quite the physical freak that Giannis was. But he shoots a heck of a lot better than Giannis did.
Mm-hmm.
Does. So I think he would fit today's game very well.
Oh,
like
definitely.
I totally get that. Like Rasheed was amazing, and when he left Portland, that was just huge.
Yeah.
Killed Portland after that.
Yeah. I always think that it's important to structure these 2-minute drill questions where the NBA question is at the end.
Smart.
Because then like 50% of the
buzz it.
time, Andrew gets to buzz it really quickly.
Yeah. Also, I believe it was Rasheed Wallace who was in the car. If not, Rasheed Wallace said it.
Oh, I think he's the one who said it.
Yeah, they got pulled over and the officer was like, "Do you have any weed in the car?" And he was like, "No, we smoked it all."
Yeah. That was in the Jailblazers days when the media of Portland
man.
turned against the Blazers players and turned them into villains
Yeah.
and drove them all out of town eventually.
Yep. They had some good basketball teams though.
Yeah, they did. They were
Yeah,
good.
and now that, man, I haven't got a chance to talk to you yet about Gary Payton 2 being a part of the Blazers. I am so giddy right
Yeah.
now. I think what I texted you,
look
was
giddy.
is the only way that I could get more excited and nostalgic is if they traded for DeMontis Sabonis. Then I would just I would wet myself.
Then you'd have your Gonzaga boy.
Well, not just my Gonzaga boy. His dad played for Portland.
Oh, that's right.
That's what I'm going with. Yeah.
Arvydas Sabonis
Arvydas
with his laser beam 3-pointers.
Right? And he played with Rasheed.
Yeah.
They were a killer 5-4 combo. Like, they were insane.
Yeah, and then Rasheed Wallace went on to play in Detroit, where he had Ben Wallace with him. Mm-hmm. And defensively, the combination of those two was a monster.
They were insane. Yeah, they were insane.
I could talk about 90s and early 2000s basketball all day, but I think we should probably move on because we're going to lose some people.
Yeah, I guess. Real quick, I wanted to get to the NIL conversation with G.G. Jackson.
Yeah. Early report was $3 million.
I get that he's going to be like the stud there.
Yeah.
But when you play for South Carolina, like, that's not the same following that North Carolina is.
No. So I was talking with...
Yeah, but NIL isn't just the money that you can make
from jerseys
and stuff. NIL is because when the NCAA...
But
because they were against it the whole time, and then when they were forced to allow it, they were like, fine, no rules then. So literally...
That is exactly what happened.
That is exactly what happened. And so what's happening is boosters are just giving name, image, and likeness deals to players.
Yeah, but I still feel like the basketball boosters at South Carolina are a lot less invested than the North Carolina basketball boosters.
But if there's one, they're going to give a whole bunch to the guy that lets him go.
That's true.
So my thought on this was I think there are a
Big
lot of
fish in a small pond sort of thing.
There ends up being a lot of layers to it because number one, it was notable, and I know because I watched it live, G.G. Jackson's commitment ceremony, his mother did not attend.
Oof.
I think
Good for her.
that she didn't go because she wanted him to go to South Carolina, which is closer to home.
If I ever had
but he really wanted to play at North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, when these guys are big stars and there's a bunch of money that's about to come, they have a camp. You know, that's the new thing.
Yeah.
So he's got a bunch of people in his ear, and as
entourage.
There was even the possibility people were saying, well, he might still reclassify, play this year, go to North Carolina and just take a walk-on spot. And they would take him. Yeah. They couldn't give him a scholarship, but he'll make so much money in NIL that it wouldn't matter.
Interesting.
But I think that at least part of the factor in this, in addition to the fact that I believe his mother wanted him to go to South Carolina and be closer to home, is there's nobody else at South Carolina that's going to be demanding NIL money. Mm-hmm. And at North Carolina, there's a lot more money to go around, but their roster is so loaded with players who have already proven that they can play at the college level. That's a much safer bet for boosters trying to pay NIL money to people. And there's got to be a limit to like how much NIL money there is to go around. And they probably have like 8 players on the North Carolina roster that are getting significant NIL money already. So maybe there wasn't enough more to give him that it outweighed what South Carolina could give him. I feel like for this year's team, it's not a problem. The Carolina roster is set.
Oh, yeah. No, they're fine.
I worry a little bit about what it means for recruiting going forward because Carolina is not a school that gets the top prospect very often. Like almost never. You know, Harrison Barnes was like the number 2 prospect, and going back even further, I can't even remember who the number 1 or even top 2 prospect would be that they got besides that. So
that's kind of why I like them.
Yeah. Well, and they tend to have guys who stick around for a few years.
Yeah.
I mean, as proven by this team that's here now.
Yeah.
But the fan base was very excited, especially watching how G.G. Jackson was playing in recent tournaments, going, holy crap, this guy's going to be on our team next year. And it was really exciting. So I wonder now how that could affect recruiting going forward, because Carolina already didn't have the reputation as being the school that gets the top guy. So will the top guy continue to realize maybe there's a better path?
But has South Carolina won any national championships?
I think it
has South Carolina been. So if you're a part of the fan base,
not matter to him.
If you're in the fan base, why would you get so upset about that?
Well,
because you have a successful model. Mm-hmm. Why get upset that something that might have changed that model didn't happen?
Agreed.
You know?
Yeah.
I guess
well, there's also a lot of recruits in the range that are coming up over the next couple years that are in the range that we've seen Carolina have success with in the past. So I feel like they're really well set.
Yeah.
It's disappointing You think you're going to have this guy, now you don't.
That makes sense.
But, hey,
Hey,
yeah. Hey.
yeah.
I mean, Daniel, if Anchor grows up and he commits to Oregon, would you go to that ceremony?
What?
Yeah, I'm just going back to
That's
his
not
mom.
the same.
It's the same.
It's not the same.
No.
No,
South Carolina is a blip on the radar.
Yeah.
They're nothing.
To South Carolina fans, it would be the same.
I don't think so.
I don't think
if
that's
if
the
you
rivalry.
said NC State,
Yeah. If it was NC State and North Carolina, or Duke.
yeah.
Well, obviously the Duke UNC thing, but Duke and UNC are both baddies.
Yeah.
So obviously they can't get along.
Dude,
with each other.
if Anchor's really good and he chooses Oregon,
You will love him and support him and show up at every game.
wearing orange and black. I will get custom Oregon Ducks gear made in orange and black.
I did. This conversation happened in my house a few years ago. Literally, this conversation happened in my house a few years ago with Mac when he was like
Is that
9.
when you made him cry?
9 or 10. No, he was like 5 when I did that.
Okay.
When he was 9 or 10, he was like, "Hey, Dad, what if I get really good at basketball and the only Division I offer that I get is Duke?"
Well, if it's the only Division I offer, it's the only.
I said, "I guess you're going to junior college to prove that you can get to Division I because that is not happening." This is the same conversation that comes up every time somebody's like, "Why can't you eventually get over Duke players playing in the NBA? Like, they went to Duke forever ago." And I'm like,
Probably for only
those
1
guys
year.
were all good enough that when they were going into college basketball, they had dozens of choices and
Yeah.
they chose evil.
And
you choose evil in your lifetime. You don't get to be redeemed from that.
And that's the thing, Justin. Nobody ever just has an offer from Duke or an offer from Oregon. So that's where, like,
Yeah.
you are correct. That's why you hold that against them forever.
Thank you.
But that's why your son's thing doesn't make sense because that's not his only offer. You can be like, dude, that would never happen. You would at least have another offer for Texas Tech or name like Anchor. He can use logos like a symbol to help with the NIL. It'll be great.
Anchor Hargrove feels like a good baseball name. Is that why you chose it?
No, but it does, doesn't it?
I feel like he should be a catcher. Like the
Which
anchor of the team.
That makes sense, which
Yeah.
would be interesting though, because that's the only position I don't know how to coach.
Oh.
So well done there.
But like when he goes down into his squat, you could say he dropped anchor.
I'll just see if I can get a hold of Cal Raleigh and be like, "Hey, you're a big dumper.
Yeah.
My kid's named Anchor. I
Yeah.
feel like there's some sort of
He hits a dinger over the left field fence, and he dropped anchor in the left field stands.
dude." I'm just thinking of Ian Cope calling sports games where Anchor's playing and just having a field day with all of the puns and things he can make with that.
Oh, nautical themed?
Yeah.
Oh, it's
just-
happening.
Yeah.
It's happening.
It's gonna happen. All right, I think it is now time for Justin's favorite part of the show.
Serving questions up on a silver platter where the points are made up and the rules don't matter. Time for Stump Daniel. I had a few really irrelevant ideas for Stump Daniel.
Did
this
you
week.
hear Andrew's impromptu Stump Daniel last week?
Yes.
Yeah, he did pretty well.
I thought it was great. I thought the whole show last week was great.
Yep, shockingly.
I listened to it beginning to end.
Wow, I did.
Enjoyed every moment of it and thought, you guys kept it to 47 minutes. We've never done that together, the three of us.
I was like, Andrew was like, "Why did that upload so quickly?" And I was like, well, a third of our talking is gone. And Andrew was like, let's be real. Probably more than a third.
Well, Daniel, I thought since the most important thing that's going on is the Mariners' current 14-game win streak, instead of doing things like I was considering saying like, wow, look at all the crazy titles of these stupid Nicolas Cage movies. I'm going to give you a bunch of titles and you tell me if it's real or fake. I thought that would be fun.
That does sound fun.
But instead,
We should save that one.
We'll save that one. Nicolas Cage has a lot of stupid titled movies.
He's got a bunch of stupid movies.
Yeah. So,
That just reminds me of, did you ever watch Community?
oh yeah.
Where Abed is about driven crazy trying to figure out if Nicolas Cage is a bad actor or
Yes.
a good actor.
Yes. And who's the boss?
Yeah.
You only get that if you've watched Community. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. Otherwise, who cares? Screw you. You're just a listener.
You might as well go to Duke.
I thought, let's keep it current. Let's do something that's most relevant.
Okay.
And we're going to go current Mariners stats. I'm going to give you a stat category.
Okay.
You're going to tell me who's leading the team. Because there are several guys on the Mariners
Really close.
who have really contributed in a lot of ways. And I think some of these might be tough.
Yes.
I'm going to start with runs scored, Daniel. Who leads the Mariners in runs scored?
Oh, that's I'm torn between two people.
Okay.
As Andrew is efforting the bed. There we go. I just said that to buy myself some more time.
I wanted to quote Brooklyn Nine-Nine there, but I won't. Efforting the bed. You know. That's a joke that the three of us in this room definitely get, and probably nobody else does. Sorry.
That's good. Oh, okay. I'm gonna say it's between two players, and I'm just gonna go with who's hot right now and say Julio Rodriguez.
Julio Rodriguez is correct.
My other thought was J.P. Crawford.
53 runs. J.P. Crawford currently has 41.
Okay.
There is a player in between them with 44.
Ty France?
Nope. Good vibes only.
Oh,
Eugenio Suarez.
Nice.
Daniel, hits. Who leads the Mariners in hits?
Gosh, if it's not Ty France, I'm gonna be shocked.
It's hard though because there's a bunch of guys that have been good but might have missed a few games here and there because of injury.
France was hurt for a while, but I still want it to be Ty France.
Ty France is correct. Viva la France!
Oh, Andrew's looking at it apparently, so that's why he was able to.
Ty France has 97. Julio right behind at 95.
I actually already had it up.
Gotcha.
Doubles, Daniel.
Dubs.
Who leads the Mariners in doubles?
I'm gonna say Ty France.
Ty France is correct. Tied at 18 with two other players. Daniel, who are the two other players?
Julio Rodriguez.
Yes.
And J.P. Crawford.
Ooh, I'm sorry. You got your first one wrong. It's Eugenio Suarez.
Gosh, what I'm learning here is I'm a little too high on JP and a little not high enough on Eugenio.
You are just barely a little too high on JP because he's only one double behind those other guys at 17.
Okay.
This one's a little easier, Daniel. Two guys tied for the top of the team in home runs. Who are the two guys tied for the most on the team in home runs?
Eugenio Suarez.
Correct.
And Julio Rodriguez.
That is correct again. Cal Raleigh, not far behind at 13.
Big dumper.
Big dumper.
Julio and Good Vibes Only, 16 home runs apiece.
I really like what Cal Raleigh has turned into.
Yeah. Like a slightly better, bigger version of Mike Zunino.
Somebody said, one of our buddies, Tracy, was saying that he is Mike Zunino, and he was saying it as a downside, and I was like, Mike Zunino is an all-star catcher, sir.
That's true, but also Mike Zunino, towards the end of his Mariners tenure, was batting like 180.
Yeah, but I was translating it to current Mike Zunino, or last year Mike Zunino, you know?
The one who made it to the World. Did they win
All-star.
the World Series?
No, they lost the World
Lost the World
Series,
Series.
but also was an all-star.
Yeah.
All-star Mike Zunino.
Well,
Cal
Zunino
Raleigh
could hit
is
dingers.
6th on the team in RWAR.
Arwar.
Like,
Dang it, that was my next question. Who's sixth on the team in Arwar?
no, it wasn't.
Cal Raleigh, big number.
How did you know that?
6'3", 225. He's a big boy.
He's a big dumper, which could be taken so many different ways.
He also squats. Drops anchor. Big dumper. RSBI, Daniel. Who leads the team in RSBI?
Oh, I feel like, you know what? That's the fun thing about a team that can win 14 games straight. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I heard a stat after last night's game where J.P. Crawford had the game-winning RBI, that in their 14-game winning streak, he was something like the 11th or 12th different player, to have the game-winning RBI in
That's
that streak.
nuts.
Isn't that ridiculous?
That is crazy. Also, I saw a graphic that I have no idea whether it was right or not that said something like Suarez has the most home runs of any player in the majors over the last 3.5 seasons or something like that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That was true.
So he had-
at the
So
beginning
why
of the
did I
season,
not know
for
who he
sure.
was before he came here?
Right? He had a down year last year, but apparently the 2 years before that, he was just hitting dongers like crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah. So let's see. This is RBIs
Yeah.
or RSBI.
RSBI. Runs batted in.
Runs batted
Not run
in.
batted ins.
Yeah. You know, every time I did a sport, wow, I have to say did now. I was gonna say every time I do a sports cast on KXRO,
Yeah.
I have that. I see RBIs, and in my head, I think RSBI.
You're welcome.
I'm like, Justin.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna go with Julio Rodriguez.
Julio Rodriguez is correct, but there's 3 guys really close here. Julio has 52, 16 home runs, 52 RBIs at the All-Star break as a rookie. Nutso.
Big, just bonkers.
Suarez has 50. Ty France, even with missing a couple weeks, has 49.
Jeez.
Now, Daniel, I'm going to go to the far right.
Imagine if Abraham Toro wasn't on the team and Ty France didn't get hurt.
Yeah, Toro stinks. I was going to ask you stolen bases, but I realized it's not a question. Julio's really the only guy who
Yes.
steals bases consistently.
Yes,
But
him
I
and
thought
Sam Haggerty, but he hasn't been up as much.
slugging percentage is an interesting question because you got some guys hit for more average, some guys hit for more extra bases.
I just realized that I was Sam Haggerty.
You
Ricky
didn't realize that earlier
and-
before the show when we were talking about him stealing third?
Oh, that's a good point.
I thought that was assumed.
I
in the
think I literally
conversation.
said out loud, that's a Hargrove thing.
That's true. I just put it together also
Yeah.
though because I was like, oh, because Sam Haggerty hasn't had as many opportunities, and this is okay. I'm sorry. You might want to stop the music for a second. This is me just going, just Daniel.
Glory days.
Yeah, Daniel Glory Days. So when I played at Grace Harbor College, Ricky McKinney was definitely the Julio Rodriguez of the team. Not that he was a rookie, but he was just better at everything than everybody.
Okay.
Including stealing bases. But he didn't do it that much, whether it was because he was hitting home runs, doubles, or triples, or because he just didn't have to that much. But I played more in the last 5 or 6 games of the season than I did for most of the season. And Andrew can attest to the fact that I stole a ton of bases in those. And after one of them, our coach said, "Hey, Ricky, Daniel's going to catch you in stolen bases next weekend." And then Ricky stole like 4 bases in the next game. And I was like, all right.
Come on, Ricky.
Okay, guy.
Okay,
Anyway,
guy.
back to the
Calm
music.
down, guy. I thought
Yeah, I'm,
you,
I'm getting emotional, not going to lie.
you said something off air earlier about Sam Haggerty told Scott Service, "Hey, if you need me to get third, I can get third."
Yeah.
And then he went out and stole third easily, so easily, in fact, that the catcher didn't even try to throw him out.
Exactly.
And my instant reaction was, that's some Hargrove crap right there. So, yeah, you're definitely Sam Haggerty.
Yep.
I had no doubt about that.
Like that
I'm going to
guy.
do 2 more here, Daniel.
Okay.
Slugging percentage. There are, again, a few guys that are really close together here.
So slugging percentage, do you know
I think
how
it's...
that a stat is defined?
Yeah, it's something about like total bases per at bat or something like that. So if you hit a home run, if every
That's
time you
SLG,
batted,
right?
yeah, if every time you batted you hit a home run, you'd have a 1,000 slugging percentage. If every time you batted you hit a single, you'd have a 250 slugging percentage. I think.
Gotcha.
Baseball Reference has the actual equation up here. It's it's singles plus 2 times doubles plus 3 times triples. So it's number of bases you get
Per hit?
divided by at bats.
Yeah, so
Divided by at bat.
which is that's what I was saying. Nailed it first try. So the amount
the
of
total number of bases that you get for a home run.
right.
per
So like if
at-bat.
you hit, like I said, if you get 4 bases every at bat, you'd have a 1,000 slugging percentage. If you hit a single every at bat or average a single every at bat,
Right.
you'd have a 250 slugging.
I was
percentage.
thinking it should be per hit because I was thinking of the but I was thinking of OPS,
Right.
which has the much higher numbers.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with. I think I'm gonna go with Julio.
It is Julio. Very good. It's really close, though. Julio Rodriguez at 477. Ty France not far behind at 470. Cal Raleigh, 469. Big dumper.
Wow,
Nice.
let's go.
Last one, Daniel. Wins above replacement. Who leads the all Mariners batters in wins above replacement?
I think it's all Mariners, period.
Well, the list I have only has batters on
okay.
it. So I don't know. It could be
The
pitchers
list,
also.
list I'm looking at is pitchers and batters.
Okay, so who leads all Mariners in wins above replacement?
It's got to be Julio Rodriguez.
That is correct again. Julio Rodriguez at 3.5, Ty France second at 2.8, and JP Crawford at 2.6.
Then Logan Gilbert at 2.5.
Oh,
Nice.
nice.
Then Eugenio Suarez at 2.3.
That's right.
Want me to go through the whole list? There's guys with a negative WAR.
The next one is Cal Raleigh.
Torrens has a negative 0.5.
Who's got the negative wars?
Justin Upton, negative 0.4.
Tell me. he's
Souza
on it.
Jr., Abraham Toro,
There he is. Of
negative
course.
0.3. Adam Frazier, Jared Kalanick, whoever Ellis is. Knapp, I don't know. He has one at bat. He has a negative 0.01 WAR.
Ellis?
Ellis, D. Ellis.
I don't remember him at all.
Says he
I
played third
vaguely
base.
remember that.
I remember Knapp because he started at catcher when I went to a game recently, and I was like, I want Big Dumper. I don't want this guy.
Ford also has a negative WAR. Negative
Yeah.
0.1.
Yeah, the PE teacher didn't last very long.
Yeah. Anyway,
I
that
think we just
concludes
played
Stump
against
Daniel.
him.
And I think you did pretty well. Like there was a lot there where I was like, three guys really close, and you pretty much got everyone. You might have had like two wrong the whole segment.
Beaver Zone?
I'd go Beaver Zone. I'd say Beaver Zone. Good job, Daniel.
Woo!
Well, we do still have to name an Ole Penn Real Estate Athlete of the Week, and we are going to talk a little bit more about the Mariners. We also need to settle some things for our upcoming wiffle ball tournament, but for now, let's take a quick commercial break. Do you have a legal situation and need someone on your side? Let the law office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz be your advocate. If you've been the victim of medical malpractice, suffered a personal injury, or need representation with real estate law, small business law, or estate planning, let Jeff Domashevitz put his 29 years of experience to work for.
No, I
But
was
we
hoping we'd
do.
have a little bit more.
So do you want to tell us about your experience in your All-Star tournament before we get to Ole Penn Real Estate Athlete of the Week?
I don't like travel ball. Is that a way
Would you
to
like
start
to
it?
expand on that?
So I'm pretty sure one of the teams that came to... So I coached Babe Ruth this year in Aberdeen. Had a lot of fun. Lots of fun. Also had the opportunity to coach All-Stars, which we had the... Aberdeen was the host this year for the state tournament. First of all, the state of Babe Ruth definitely reflects travel ball because we had 4 teams at the state tournament. 2 of them were from Vancouver. One of them was because
so they just decided that Little League would absorb that, and Little League does have options for older age groups.
Yeah, which I had no idea about because
didn't
everybody goes and plays Babe Ruth.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
So that was a big loss in my opinion, and it definitely shrunk the talent pool because when I was a kid. We had a Hoquiam All-Stars and Aberdeen All-Stars, and everybody had their own All-Stars for except for East Grace Harbor, I think was combined. So it was Elma and Monty combined, and we were always grumpy about that in Hoquiam because we're like, dude, you have like twice as many people now than we have to pull from. Anyway,
I actually think Hoquiam as a town is the size of Monty and Elma combined.
that makes sense. But school-wise,
yeah,
like
they're all 1A.
It was 2 1A schools.
Right. Yeah.
Then they would be like, yeah, well, you have Quinault and North Beach. And we're like, yeah, and Tohola. Okay, you're right.
So half of Wishkah.
Yeah. So anyway, so this one Vancouver team, if they weren't a travel ball team, would be surprising because they not only had like a name, they were the Mudcats. They weren't like Vancouver. They were the Mudcats. And then also...
What the heck is a Mudcat?
I have no idea. No clue. But also, Justin, everybody had a matching bag, like logoed
It's a catfish.
gear bag. Okay.
A mudcat is a catfish.
Catfish. Gotcha.
I did not know that. I looked it up.
It's a flathead catfish.
So anyway, definitely a travel team came up and
It's a stupid team name.
sorry. Yeah, I agree. And they were also so they beat us 19-1. We decided not to throw our best pitcher to start because we were trying to work pitch counts, because the state tournament was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we were trying to figure out, what's the best way. We're playing against this team. They seem like they're going to be the best team coming in, but we weren't sure about it. And then they scored 10 runs in the first inning. And we're like, okay, well, we're not going to throw our best pitcher for the rest of the game either. Mm-hmm. There's no point. So they were still stealing in the fourth and fifth innings, up 15, 16, 17, 18 runs.
What's the mercy rule?
It's 10 runs after 5
okay.
only, apparently.
Because in Little League, they have the escalating one where it's 20 runs after 3 and 15 after 4.
I was wondering if that was going to be the case, but no, it's just 10 after 5. Mm-hmm. And they were still stealing bases, so that kind of tells you about the coaching and the leadership.
They're like camp MVP from heavyweights.
Yeah, exactly. So that was frustrating. Only if I have the opportunity to coach next year, just about how to teach the game. And the reason why I say I hate travel ball is because all of the kids who have the ability to play travel ball will go play travel ball and kind of leave the rest to try and figure it out. And it's not just saying all the good players, but all the players who also have the time to, because so many times that turns more into one sport specific. We had a kid who actually played some travel ball, not on the most serious travel team that I've heard of, but he actually is a 3-sport athlete. So he still is able to do all of it, but he's so busy. And then another kid I'm pretty sure just plays baseball. And that makes sense because he played one game with us this year, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh man, where's this kid? Well, he's just playing travel ball, and it made sense because he was traveling all over the place. So it's kind of a bummer. And it's just you've heard me complain about it for so long. And so it's just kind of a bummer of seeing how that worked. And then you're like, okay, you kind of feel like you have this one level of what your team is and the types of teams we're playing. And then all of a sudden you go to a state tournament and all of a sudden a team shows up that you're like, wait a second, that's not at the same level we're all playing at, and just dominates everybody. And you're like, okay, cool. You brought a team at a different skill level to come in and 10-run everybody. Fun.
Where it seemed more like the state tournament was a formality for them to get to whatever was next.
Exactly. Yeah. So it seemed weird, but
I think a lot of those
kids,
people seem to be I know a lot of the parents and people who are involved in travel ball, and a lot of it is how can we get the maximum amount of time on the field?
Yeah.
So we want as many games as possible to see as many opponents as possible. And, so for them, it was probably we're going to kill everybody, but we're going to get reps.
Yep. Yeah. And I could totally see that.
Yeah.
That definitely makes sense. It just felt weird.
Yeah.
It felt weird. But the kids that I coached were awesome. I had so much fun coaching these kids from Aberdeen. They were an absolute blast. But sadly, not 2 in barbecue, all done. So,
is one of your kids named Bubba?
Yeah. Bubba's a stud.
I just got it. Okay, hold on a second.
What?
This is a super sidetrack. But you know how I've talked before about how I just
Bubba was our honorable mention last year.
Okay, no, I remember now.
Last
now.
Week, yeah.
That's what it is. Okay. You know how I've talked to you guys about how I just do notes in my phone to remind me about things for the show?
Yeah.
So I'll just say, hey Siri, make a note, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Right? So and sometimes it ends up with things that are really incoherent. So I was talking to my wife the other day and I was looking through my notes and I have one that says, do we have a lot of bubbles here in Grays Harbor County? And she was like, what the heck does that mean? A lot of bubbles. And I was like, I don't even remember making that note. What does that mean? We have a lot of bubbles. And when you were talking about your team, I was like, oh, and you were saying you loved your players.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, what about Bubba?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. do we have a lot of Bubbas here in Grays Harbor County?
Right, because
Which
we
do.
had Bubba Dick a few years ago.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Sorry,
Yeah.
that was really more of a personal revelation of my own than something that needed to be shared.
Anyway, yeah. I had a lot of fun. Brought back a lot of memories of playing in baseball tournaments and all-star tournaments and stuff like that. But yeah, did not go the way we wanted it to.
Unfortunate.
Yeah. And I learned a lot, though, that'll help us prepare better next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
My brother chimed in and said that when losing feels weird, that's good.
Is it?
It wasn't that losing felt weird. The weird thing was a team came in that was legitimately playing at a different level than everybody else.
Yeah.
And there was another team that came from Vancouver who played them better, and didn't get 10 runned, but still lost by like 8.
So it wasn't even the losing felt like losing.
No,
felt
that
weird.
game-
It was that the loss felt like a weird way to lose.
Yeah.
Kinda, yeah.
It felt weird playing against that team, I guess is the way to say it. Yeah. The loss the next day was much more like that sucked, we lost, but we were playing a team that we definitely should have competed with, but we were playing at the same playing field, right? We were like, okay.
You weren't playing a D1.
We weren't playing a bunch of
program
kids who looked like they just walked on the field and then threw harder, fielded better, hit better. Like, it was just a different level than we'd seen all year.
Yeah.
Even at that All-Star tournament.
It's
It was
kind
just
of
like,
tough
wait a
too,
second.
because like it is possible for that to happen organically.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
I can personally attest to that because
Yeah.
the year that I think it was Peyton's 11-year-old All-Star year.
Yeah.
The Aberdeen team from Peyton's age group was insane.
Yeah.
And I think it was the 10-year-old or 11-year-old All-Star. No, it had to be the 11-year-old. It was the 11-year-old All-Star year. They 10-runned everybody in the tournament, and then in
Yeah.
the championship game, we lost to them by 9 runs, and it was like, oh, wow, look what we accomplished.
Yeah.
We didn't get 10-runned by this team. And, like, those kids did play travel ball, but it wasn't like, at 11 years old, they were this elite compiled group from a bigger city.
Yeah.
They just were really good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you're right. That can happen organically, but that's not what this felt like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, do you want to get to the Ole Penn Real Estate Athlete of the Week?
I do.
I think it's worth pointing out for Montesano Little League. Mm-hmm. They've had a lot of success over the years with teams winning district tournaments. I've been a part of some of it.
Yep.
As a coach, but this year really stood out. They put 3 baseball district teams. They had the 10-year-old team, the 12-year-old team, and then the 13-14 team, I think is what it was. So they had 3 district teams. All of them won their district tournament.
Nice.
And they also had the 10U softball team, which you'll probably remember. Addie Williamson was our athlete of the week a few weeks ago.
Yep.
Their 10-year-old softball team also won the district tournament. So a ton of success from Montesano Little League this year. The most recent team was this week. The 8 to 10-year-old district team from Montesano won their tournament. And before we do athlete of the week, I want to just do a quick shout out. I've got every kid on their roster here. It started with Trey Gunter, Brody Messick, Madden Maruska, Jacob Dalgard, Liam Brekovich, Austin Maldonado, Keston Delia, Lawyer Nemi, Larkin Gadrich, Eric Barnes, Brenton Bestie, Keaton Silva, Calder Luft, and Colton Beardmore.
There's a lot of last names I recognize.
Yeah, so I know a few of these kids. Like, this is an age group that's younger enough from my kids that I don't know all of them, but I do know a handful of them.
Yeah.
Some really good athletes in there. But our athlete of the week this week does come from that team, and it's Brody Messick.
Yeah.
Brody, as I was going through and looking at the stats, I was like, I got this nomination from both the league president, Steve Bovey, and also from his coach, Stefan Maruska. And I was looking at his stats, and I was like, holy crap. Like, this is ridiculous.
It's insane. It's
So,
insane.
Throughout the course of the tournament, Brody played shortstop, pitcher, and catcher. He went 12 for 16 at the plate in 4 games. He batted 750
Stupid.
in the district tournament with 7 RSBI and 12 runs scored. He also ended one of the tournament games with an unassisted double play. I'm going to assume that's while he was playing shortstop.
It'd be more impressive if he was playing catcher.
That would be, yeah. His manager said Brody is a great kid and a leader for his peers. Also in the title game. So, like, you got the stats throughout the course of the tournament, but the title game is what matters. And there actually was a really good team from Larch Mountain.
Yep.
That
Also,
they had
it's
to play.
Larch Mountain.
Yeah.
We were saying Large Mountain all week on KXRO.
Oh, it's Larch.
Large mountain.
yeah.
Larch.
That's Larch.
Larch Mountain. But if people say it fast, it's like Grace Harbor. People
Yeah.
think it's Grace Harbor.
Yeah.
But it's Grays Harbor.
It's Grays Harbor.
Yeah.
Yep.
There was a really good Larch Mountain team that they had to play twice, I think. And so
And
those
that's
two
like-
games were pretty close.
That's like the Tenino
Rochester,
area, right?
Tenino.
Grand Mound. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of the games they won by 1 run. One of the games they won by 2 runs. So there was good competition
Yep.
in their last couple of games. In the title game against Larch Mountain, Brody went 4 for 5 with a double, a triple, 4 runs, and 4 RSBI.
Yeah. Just stupid.
So not only
Attaboy.
did he come up throughout the whole thing,
Yeah.
he came up most clutch in the game that they most needed it in the title game. I can also say Brody is one of those kids, and there are a few of these scattered around Montesano that I take credit for everything good they do. Because when Brody was 7, he played on my minors team, and I coached him 1 year.
Yeah.
So now, ever since then, if he does anything really good, I go, oh, I taught Brody that, back when he was 7 years old. But
That
anyway,
makes sense.
Brody is like coach's dream, super easy to deal with, puts his head down, enjoys the work. When he played on our minors team, when I think his baseball age was 8, but he was 7, because that's all weird how
Yeah.
little league ages work.
Yep.
He was really small and going up against some 11-year-olds
Wow.
and never intimidated. Whether he made the play or not, or whether he was getting beaned or whatever happened, he's going up against kids sometimes that were almost twice his size. And I was always incredibly impressed with how bold he was. And now I think that, him having the experience of going up against bigger kids and now playing through the last couple of years in Montesano Little League, he's really developed into a super baseball player. So Brody, congratulations. Super happy for you. You are our Ole Pen Real Estate Athlete of the Week.
I love it.
Now, I have something else I want to say about Monty Little League. Do you have something else you want to add about Brody?
I was just going to say, knowing Brody's dad, because I
Yeah.
play basketball with his dad, Doug,
Yeah.
doesn't surprise me that his kid's a stud.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
and bold and not willing to back down from anybody.
Yeah. Doug's the man. I love
Doug-
playing basketball with Doug.
Doug's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Doug was one of the coaches on their team as well.
Nice.
Now, last week, when I didn't get to be here, we named another Monty kid, Cale Kesbu, the Ole Pen Real Estate Athlete of the Week. I didn't get to talk much about like that team or that 12-year-old team. I know a lot of those kids, but there's one particular kid that was on that team that I have a story about that I think is really fun.
Okay.
So Hunter Schmitz,
Okay.
who played catcher on that all-star team, he has a younger sister who played on the coach pitch softball team that my daughter plays on. My wife managed, and I was the bungling assistant. I felt like
Every team needs one of those.
a bungling
right?
assistant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
People would like when there would be like pregame and the coaches are getting together, and one of the coaches would come up to me and be like, "Hey, how do you want to?" And I was like, "Talk to Angel, because
Yep.
she's the boss. I just do what I'm told."
Yep.
But Hunter, first of all, loves to coach his little sister
Okay.
and is incredibly sweet and wonderful and patient and also knowledgeable and loves to help her out. But he, of all the child helpers that I've ever had, is the most dedicated, the most helpful, the most engaged.
Okay.
The last game of the season, this is the specific thing that I've never seen anyone do.
Okay.
As coaching this coach pitch team, so we got kids in the age range of like 6 to 8.
I was gonna say, what's the age group here?
Yeah, 6 to 8, maybe 9, but not much older than
And
that.
he's 11 or 12.
Yeah, I think he's actually 11 playing with the 12-year-olds.
Gotcha.
I believe, but I'm not positive about that. But Hunter was basically an assistant coach for us. He was we 100% could trust him to give good advice to the kids, to supervise. He was coaching third base for us.
Okay.
I also was trying to coach first base and keep book and make sure that all the kids got out of the dugout. I was on the side of the dugout.
That's a lot to do.
So keeping book,
Yeah.
coaching first base, and making sure the batters came out that were supposed to.
I was just doing that in our All-Star tournament. That's a lot.
It's a lot of work. But that's not as impressive as what Hunter did.
Okay.
Hunter coached third base on the opposite side of the field and was the bat boy for an entire game.
What?
So what that meant was every time, and there's dozens of these, every time a girl got a hit, left the bat, he would coach third base. As soon as the dust settled, he would sprint to home plate, grab the bat, sprint to the dugout, put it neatly in the dugout, sprint all the way back to third base. He did it dozens of times throughout the game. Because I didn't even ask him to do it. He just saw the bat there and was like, somebody needs to take care of that. And he just did it.
That's
and then he did it
amazing.
through the whole game.
Wow.
And even at a certain point, I was like, Hunter, do you want some help? I could probably get somebody to come out and do this. And he was like, no, I got it. No problem.
That's awesome.
It was amazing.
That's so cool.
Big shout out to Hunter Schmitz. Like, I love that kid. He's awesome. And his little sister is Chloe. She's really cool too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Youth sports brings out some of the best.
It really does.
The best stories. I love it so much. I was just watching a video the other day that kind of reminded me of that because you get the opportunities to see the best come out in certain kids.
Angel just sent me a text that said I wasn't bumbling as an assistant. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead. She's wrong. I was bumbling. Yeah.
But it was a video. You see so many videos on social media of like freak outs or bat flips or stuff like that. But this video it kind of reminded me. You remember that video that went viral a couple years ago of the two kids who were best friends but ended up playing on different teams and one struck the other out
to end the championship game or whatever. Yeah.
And he didn't go celebrate with his team. He went and gave his buddy a hug.
Those ones always get me.
Oh man,
right
I started crying.
Yeah.
Well, this one's kind of similar, but his team loses on a walk-off, and the catcher of the losing team just walk-off happens, and he stands up, turns around, and shakes the umpire's hand, and then goes about the business. And I was just like, oh, that's awesome.
We need more of that.
Exactly. We need
And
more
less
of
of
that.
the TikTok videos of parents freaking out to the
Seriously.
point that the umpire walks off the field.
Seriously.
Because there are dozens of those now.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And I'm like, if I was an umpire, like listening to a lot of the things that these parents say, which I think the only time that I've ever personally experienced it get to that level was one time.
Wow.
During an all-star game between Monty and Aberdeen several years ago.
Yeah.
That was played at Pioneer Park. Where I was like, man, if I was the umpire, I'd be out of here. Besides that, it's like, it kind of comes and goes and it's in waves and it's not that big a deal. People keep themselves under control.
Yeah.
But I watch these videos online and it's like,
insane.
how do people think this is an appropriate way to behave?
Seriously. And we had some interesting calls that happened in our All-Star game.
there
over the
always
weekend.
are.
Maybe I'll tell you some about it, maybe. But, I mean, there was one where I turned out to be wrong. I went and looked up the rules
That's
afterwards.
never happened to me.
I was wrong about part of it. It was still really sketchy how everything went down. But there was one term that I had forgotten about. I remember my brother telling me about it now. The whole establish your own base path.
Like if you go out of the base path,
then
you get a straight path to the base, basically.
Yeah, but also it's so what happened was the kid, the scoreboard was wrong, said there's 2 outs. Pop up to behind second base. The kid on second base went sprinting around third because he thinks there's 2 outs. Ball gets caught. Coach says, hey, there's only 1 out. Kid cuts back across right behind the pitcher's mound to go to second.
Oh, didn't touch third base on the way?
No.
Oh.
And so we're all going, hey, he's out of the base path. Like, even though we didn't get the ball back to second in time, he's out of the base path. We did, and then the umpire said, no, he establishes his own base path. And we were so befuddled.
Oh, that's not the way I understood that rule.
Yeah, and so we
Okay.
were so befuddled that somebody could possibly think that you are establishing your own base path from halfway down the third base line to second base directly, that we were so befuddled by that explanation that we forgot to say he didn't touch third. And that's all we needed to do.
Which is the first thing I said.
In this guy's
evidence
mind,
that I've never been wrong.
Yeah, so this guy, I talked to him after the game, and I was like, hey, he didn't touch third. And he was like, yeah, if you would have said, all he wanted us to do was say, hey, he didn't touch third.
Oh, because you have to appeal that, don't
Apparently,
you?
that's a verbal appeal. And so that's all he was waiting for us to say. But because we were so confused.
Is it a real verbal appeal or was that ump just being,
It's a verbal appeal.
Okay.
But saying establish the base path in that situation is so bizarre that that's the part that I'm still
wasn't good.
Yeah, so that's the part that I'm still weird because we
Right.
were so bizarre about that. And one of the kids so we were an Aberdeen Hoquiam combined all-star team, and one of the kids from Hoquiam was hilarious, and he just goes, "Hey, coach, can I establish my own strike zone?" Well done, Isaac. That's hilarious. But no.
But it.
Or the pitcher throws the ball and it's a ball, and he says, "No, that identifies as a strike."
Exactly.
Like,
Is
that's
that
the
what-
same thing.
Is that what Scott Service is talking about when he's talking about dominating the strike zone?
Dominating the zone, just making your own.
Yeah.
Yeah, the establishing the base path rule, I've always understood that is if
Maybe
the
you
action takes you out of the normal base path, like you're going through first and there's a pass ball. Like
Right.
the ball gets past the first baseman, your base path is directly
Now-
from where you are to second base. You don't have to go back into the first to second base.
Exactly. That's exactly. Or if
Yeah.
you're going from first to third,
Right.
and you take a bad angle around second, and you
Exactly.
find yourself all the way next to the grass,
Yeah.
you're not out of the base path.
Exactly.
The call out of the base path or out of the baseline is only for those situations when you're trying to avoid someone tagging you.
Right.
And then you get 3 feet to either side
Gotcha.
of a direct path. Because I went and looked it up. So you get, if somebody's trying to tag you, the rule in the book says 3 feet to either side of a direct line to the base. I have seen that called more strictly constantly, where I'm like, really? Did he go 3 feet out? But, somebody tries to juke to the side and then dive to the base. You're supposed to go in specifically a direct line when you're trying to avoid a tag. That's when it gets crazy. But
I think your umpire in this instance screwed up and then was trying to cover for it later by saying, "Well, I wanted you to say it."
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
we were down by 15 at the time, so
You weren't going to argue it?
yeah. We got a little upset and befuddled, and that I got a little upset and befuddled in the second game, but it was nothing to the point where I didn't swear and I didn't yell at the guy. I just asked questions like, "What? What are you talking about?" And then he explained himself, and I was just like, "Yeah, I don't agree," and walked back to the dugout.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I don't agree, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. And one of them, the guy said it was my judgment, and I was like, I can't argue with that.
Yeah.
Did you say that?
No, I didn't.
You
but
should have. You should have been like, I can't argue with that.
Exactly, because if an ump says that, hey, this is what I saw, this is what I judged. How are you going to argue with that?
One of my favorite
If
things.
you do argue with it, you're stupid.
Exactly. One of my favorite things
No, that's where you go straight to the insults.
since I've
Let me get some binoculars so you can do better next time.
since I've turned over another leaf and I'm not a crazy parent anymore, and I just
good for
I
you.
don't do this anymore, right?
Yeah.
So like, I mean, I've told the story before about how I almost got ejected from a basketball game in Seaside for
Yes.
yelling at the ref like a maniac.
Yep.
The man was gracious and kind to not eject me, although he was a terrible referee, but that's not the point. So my favorite thing this year as my 12-year-old son was playing baseball was when there was obviously really bad umpiring happening.
Yeah.
And parents would start to get a little worked up and, "Oh, come on." I would shout, "I disagree, sir." And then everybody kind of laughs, and then we all move on. We
Yeah.
realize, we can disagree and it's okay.
Yeah. Funny thing, when I went to the Mariners game, we were up in the 200 level, not quite to the foul pole, but no angle to call balls and strikes, right? Because we're up above, way down the third base
Yes,
line.
I love it when
And-
parents think they can see balls and strikes from that angle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so we're in T-Mobile Park at that angle, and there would be a ball, and we all thought it was a strike from up where we were. And we were like, "Oh!" And Sean O'Neill would go, "That looked like a strike from here."
Nailed it. That's classic Sean. Classic Sean.
Oh, we got some mailbag to get to.
We do, but first, before we get to mailbag, we need to talk. We're gonna talk about Mariners, but let's do commercial break, then Mariners, then mailbag.
At Ole Pen Real Estate, we have solidified our foundation on 4 core values. First, we continuously focus on growing our knowledge in the market and in our practices to bring the highest level of competency to our clients. Second, we provide a high level of integrity, compassion, and kindness in every aspect of our business. Third, we put the human element above business through humor, enthusiasm, and patience. And last but not least, we proactively respond to the needs of our clients. Our mission is to create a personal real estate experience, one person and one home at a time. With Ole Pen, it's personal.
The Scrimmage is brought to you by Ole Penn Real Estate and the law office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz. I am Justin Domashevitz, no relation.
What's the A stand for?
Also, Daniel Hargrove is here with us, and our trusty producer, Andrew Gross. Andrew, I don't know what your opinion on this, but I would say if I were assessing how well Daniel's Achilles is healing, we could go, like, we've watched him run to the bathroom, like, virtually every week for the last couple months. That was the most nimble he's looked to the bathroom.
When you started threatening to talk about Mariners, he froze and like started to juke back.
That makes me feel very positively about how you're healing.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, that's a good point. I got to say, I just realized I think my biggest deficit as a broadcaster is small bladder size. Like,
because you have to drink liquids.
Yeah, as a broadcaster,
it keeps your throat hydrated.
Exactly. But if you have a small bladder, then you are hosed. And the amount of times I've been broadcasting basketball games and I have to go to commercial break at halftime and then sprint to the bathroom and hope that there's not a line.
Yeah. So I've been with you a lot on these, and then, if you don't make it back in time, then I just take over for a minute until you get back. What do you do when you're on your own?
I tell the board op, don't come back to me until I say I'm back.
Okay, so just play extra commercials.
It's just like, hey, give me 3 minutes.
That's a savvy veteran move.
Yeah. But don't come back unless I say, hey, I'm back, because I need to go pee. And small bladder size gets me again.
Well, the show sheet says Mariners 12-game winning streak / position in the standings. But in fairness to me, I did this yesterday and before yesterday's game was over.
I gotta say, that just shows me how dedicated you are, that you worked on the show sheet before the day of.
Thank you.
When you were gone, I wrote the show sheet, what we had of it, 5 minutes before we started.
Okay. But in fairness, even when I'm in charge of the show sheet, it often pops up right before we start. So, but Mariners not a 12-game winning streak anymore. It's a 14-game winning streak. When I wrote this in, the 12-game winning streak, Julio had hit a grand slam. Julio. And I also put in the note, do you cringe when people call Julio J-Rod?
I do. I don't like J-Rod.
I was talking about this with my son just a couple days ago. And I was like, we already had an A-Rod, and that didn't work out. Also, the Jennifer Lopez, Alex Rodriguez celebrity couple name was J-Rod.
I don't know who those people are. I don't care about them. Why would I care about them?
There was also
sound like a Yankee.
There was also a K-Rod.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure there was another J-Rod pitcher at some point, some reliever who didn't last very long. But also, wasn't there... wasn't there a tennis player?
Yeah, Andy Roddick was A-Rod.
Was A-Rod too.
Aaron Rodgers has been called A-Rod.
I just don't want the Rod thing.
But but Julio he seems to like the J-Rod show thing.
J-Rod show, yeah. Maybe you should
every time I hear it, and this is my own personal bias is getting in the way of something that's completely reasonable.
Yeah.
I hear J-Rod and I go, ooh.
Maybe he's taking it back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Taking the power out of the word.
It's just not very original.
Back for himself.
Like, I was having a conversation on the air with Pat Anderson about this recently, because he was thinking the same thing. He's like, J-Rod. The whole A-Rod, J-Rod, that's all played out. He's like, what happened to like a really good nickname? Like
the Big Dumper.
The Big Dumper. Yeah. Or he was saying like, why don't we like a new one? Like, I don't know, I can't remember which one he said, but I was just like the Ambassador, or something like where it's a different thing. Like that's the nickname. It's not just some shortening of the name, and especially a shortening that we see constantly. Every time there's a Rodriguez or a Rogers, everybody's like blank Rod.
Let's start something new.
Car Ramrod.
Where we're not going to be called Car Ramrod. I think we should start something new. That is not based on his name, but based on Julio Rodriguez's transcended talent. Like, let's just call him the Gifted One.
Or the show. I say we call him the show.
The show.
I know that...
Who else was the show?
MLB is called the show. Like, but he's the show.
I actually love that. I was going to say, I don't use J-Rod.
No.
I just call him Julio.
I like Julio. Yeah, he doesn't need a last name. He's just Julio.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Like Cher.
It doesn't. Exactly.
Or Beyonce.
Bono.
Madonna.
Ellen. Oprah. He's basically Oprah.
I don't cringe at, like, I don't mind it at all.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I think that the reason I don't like it enough to use it is because of what you guys are talking about with A-Rod and A-Rod and
A-Rod.
It's kind of generic.
It's generic. Yeah.
But I don't really find it that, like, it doesn't really cross my mind to be like, yeah, this is dumb. I like Julio. The J-Rod squad is like, it sounds good.
Yeah.
How about the gifted one and his disciples?
I feel like you're referencing something, but I don't know what it is.
We'll call him the One.
The One?
And it's like Neo from the Matrix.
Well, Rick Riz calls him the Kid, but he calls
That's
everybody
Griffey.
Kid. So, and Griffey was already the Kid.
We can't have. He can't be the kid.
Can he be the man?
Isn't there? I feel like there's an El Jefe already.
Yeah, but that's in Spanish. That's different. Different nickname.
What does Jefe mean?
Doesn't it mean man?
I don't know.
I don't have no idea.
How do you say the gifted
Chief?
one in Spanish?
I don't know. We might need.
If
to
you have
look
any
this up.
Spanish-speaking listeners out there, tell us how to say the gifted one in
Yeah.
Spanish.
Maybe we can shorten it into a nickname.
And look up disciples while you're at it.
Andrew wanted to talk about trade deadline stuff earlier.
Okay.
And I said, we should process that on the show instead of before the show.
This is a conversation that Hannah and I were having on our way home today. I was like, feel like it was right when they won the game. I was like, they were going into, they won 14 straight going into the All-Star break. This is awesome. And then I was like, why aren't I even more excited? And I realized it's because I'm actually anxious about the trade deadline.
Yeah.
Because last year it got so bad. Like, it was bad. Regardless of...
I like that you stopped to come up with a word and then realized, no,
It's
the
just
word
bad.
is bad.
It's just bad.
What you're looking for is bad.
Regardless of whether you think the trade made sense, because I know there are people who have argued that trade...
Are there wind chimes or a
Yes,
phone?
wind chimes.
Okay.
Regardless of whether you think that trade made sense,
Yeah.
it was timed so badly that it absolutely lost the Mariners at least a couple games.
Yeah.
In that first couple days after, where everybody was just like, what is even happening?
I think it was actually like a 2-week stretch after that trade
Where they just
that
kind of-
they were bad.
Arguably.
They felt like they were in a funk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I might remind you that they only missed the playoffs by, what, one game?
Was it
Or
one or
two
two?
One or
games.
two, something like
Yeah.
that.
It
Well,
was
we
very
talked about this
close.
at the end of that season,
Yeah.
that the amount of games that they
Yes.
lost during that 2-week stretch, or 13 games or whatever it was more than
Absolutely.
the difference that kept them out of the playoffs.
And so anyway, so now, in spite of this awesome winning streak, and Julio's being amazing, and everything should be exciting, and yet I'm still like, oh man, I hope that Jerry Dipoto doesn't manage to do something to make me mad.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Because
so-
he's Trader Jerry.
Right.
And I watched a video the other day that was just like all of the terrible moves. It was all of Jerry's moves. Because for some reason, I had thought that most of them were positive, and then started going through all the things. It's amazing how many of the prospects that I didn't know about in deals in the last 5 years have turned out to be studs.
Really?
Yeah, where you're just like, oh, that guy's the best pitcher for the Rays now? Oh, that guy's the best pitcher for the Brewers
Is it
now?
like when you
And
found
you're
out
just like,
that Omar Vizquel and David Ortiz used to be in the Mariners organization?
yes, exactly. And you're just like, ugh.
well, and that's gonna happen, right? Like he makes a ton of trades, so it's gonna happen.
bound to happen.
But-
Trader Jerry.
But
Yeah.
specifically, what I'm worried
Is
about
it Trader or Traitor?
or what I wanted to discuss is what we all agree that the Seahawks should be adding
Mariners.
Thank you.
You do that so
The Mariners-
much.
I don't know. We all agree that the Mariners should be adding. You guys corrected me like in unison. That was awesome. The Mariners should be adding talent,
Yes.
but who are they going to trade?
Juan Soto.
And who are we okay with them trading?
That's a good question because you brought up outfield, and that immediately makes sense.
And also, what do we want to see them get?
That's a good point. I think
Second base?
second base is
and
an option. Pitching is the main thing that I like.
Starting or bullpen?
Starting,
Both.
I thought the rotation was pretty good.
The rotation has been awesome.
rotation
but
is-
they have no depth.
No depth. And the rotation is pretty good. And they're on a hot streak right now. I think that's the thing. The rotation's on a hot
I fixed
streak.
Robbie Ray. What have you guys done?
It broken Marco Gonzalez.
Oh.
I don't know. It's not deep. It's one injury, and they haven't had any injuries, so it's very odd.
Really weird.
Yeah. So
It's the lack of depth that concerns me the most because right now they have
You're talking about a sixth starting pitcher or like
Yeah.
a fifth starting pitcher? You're saying
they
if
have 5
Okay.
with Kirby.
Okay.
Kirby is
And
in
Kirby's-
his rookie year.
that's also
He's
true,
Gonna be
yeah.
on a pitch count, or not a pitch count, an innings count.
Yeah.
So I've never thought of depth as a starting rotation before because like you have your five starters. So are you saying depth beyond the five
Yes,
starters?
I'm saying
Okay.
that when they
Yeah.
can't start Kirby anymore
'cause
later,
that's probably going to
Gotcha.
happen.
and or if any of them, because none of them have got hurt,
Yeah.
they've
And-
only pitched
and there's
6
not-
pitchers.
Yeah.
They've only started
six.
And
Yeah.
Brash has been moved completely to a bullpen guy now. You
Yes.
can't just be like, all right, now you're a starter again. And the next guy down in AAA or down in the minors, because he's not in AAA, is Emerson Hancock, and he's not quite ready.
Where's Justice Sheffield?
He's not
Not
pitching
good?
currently for the Rainiers, I believe.
Unfortunate.
Like I don't think he's
yeah.
pitching,
Yeah, he's not good.
but he's at.
That didn't
AAA.
really
I
work
thought he was
out.
supposed to be good.
He was supposed to be really
He's a good baseball name.
Yeah, that's true. He's a great baseball name. So I would think pitching, like if they could pick up like a 4th, 5th starter, or hey, I mean, if the market's there and you can get a really good starter, great. Especially if it's a guy you can, a young guy, and not just a rental. That's more expensive though, and then you got to look at who you're willing to give up.
Yeah.
Relief pitching, you can find rental relievers pretty easily, and I think you should stock up on as many of those as possible because of injuries, or you just front load them and you add as much as you possibly can. Second base would be an option, and it is just an absolute. If you go out and get a second baseman, it is just even more of an indictment on not only Adam Frazier, but even
Toro.
more so Abraham
Yeah.
Toro. Like all of the talk about how that was a good trade is incorrect. The fact that they got
I
Diego,
just didn't want to distract from the fact that
Yeah.
even if it was a good trade, it was timed so badly that
yes,
it cost them games.
Yes. My further thought was that Castillo was also a bad trade, but that one's iffy, and they didn't really give up much for him, so who cares?
He's got like 7 wins this year, but his ERA is like 4.2.
Yeah,
or
and he's
something
been
stupid.
better lately.
Okay.
He's been
Castilco.
Castilco's
Russian.
been better lately. But the Graveman for Toro, who's turned out to be trash, and got Ty France hurt, and Joe Smith was just around
You're never
for a
gonna
year.
let that France thing go.
Ugh. Yeah, I probably should, but it was bad.
Yeah. It's
But it's if you have to still go out and get a second baseman after trading for somebody who you said was so stinking good that it
I mean,
was
he
like
was right. Like
no.
Adam Frazier's not
No,
having...
I was saying Toro.
Okay,
And
sorry.
then
I thought,
you go
I
out
thought you were saying for
Yeah,
Toro.
and no, and then you go out and sign the guy that you actually wanted to get the year before but couldn't, Adam Frazier, and then he also turns out to not be good. So then you have to spend more resources on trading for another second baseman. Holy
I think
crap.
Robinson Cano's available.
Maybe, but you'd have to take on his contract. He's with the Padres right
Didn't he
now.
get
I think.
cut? Oh.
No, he got traded.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Never mind then.
The one
But
thing
anyway,
about-
I think second base is a position where you can live with it not being that good of a hitter. So you can live with Adam Frazier. You can live with Sam Haggerty. You can live with Dylan Moore being there to play
well,
second
I was
base.
gonna say if Haggerty
So I don't want
can
them
play
to.
it,
Yeah, I don't want. Oh, he absolutely can play it.
then-
that might
then
be his
I'd
most.
like to see him there.
That might be his most natural position. He's hitting over 300 right now.
He's not a natural outfielder.
I don't think so. I think
I've
he's
seen him make ridiculous diving catches in the
Did
outfield.
you say Haggerty or Hargrove?
Haggerty?
Okay.
His middle name's Hargrove.
So I would be upset if they spent any resources at second, because that's not a position where you need massive production from, especially when you have guys like Frazier, Moore, and Haggerty who can fill the spot and do certain other things well. I think you need as much pitching as you can possibly get anytime you're going for a playoff run. That's my thought. But what would you trade? Outfield is where you have the most dudes.
It's got to be Kelenic, but his value's not high right now.
Right? But whose value is higher? An injured Haniger, an injured Lewis?
How high a value
Winker,
would
who didn't start out very well, or your only guy
I'd see
Julio
Kyle
Rodriguez?
Lewis as the guy with the most value.
Hey, just a note that Kyle Lewis has not been brought up to the major leagues, even though he's hitting the cover off the ball and actually playing in outfield.
I think he's still in his rehab assignment.
So let me throw
Yes.
this out there,
Yes.
since we're talking about trade deadline moves.
But like going nuts.
Yeah.
Hitting. I don't
like
remember.
Kelenic did when he was in Tacoma.
Yeah, they're both going nuts. I think Lewis even more
Except
so.
Lewis has the record of being a good hitter
In the majors as
That's
well.
true.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
that's
right,
true.
right.
That's true.
Okay, so let me throw this out there.
Okay.
Because the big name on the trade market right now is Juan Soto.
Yes.
That when I was looking, this is not
outfield?
like
Right.
this
field.
isn't
Right or
people
left.
who know. Like
Yeah.
this wasn't reporters or analysts, but like, Facebook groups of like fans who pay really close attention
Okay.
saying a Juan Soto trade probably would require Haniger and Kelenic to be traded in addition to probably some other prospects.
He's 23.
Haniger having the value because he is relatively young, but he's also on an arbitration avoiding deal, which means he's only locked up for another year.
Yeah.
And Soto also knowing that he's only got a couple years left on his deal, and if you want to retain him,
You're gonna have to pay.
you're gonna have to pay a buttload of money.
butt ton. Yeah.
So the argument that I was seeing made by fans is, even if you only get Soto for 2 years, Haniger, Kelenic, and some other prospects is worth it to go get this guy to make a push for now.
If Haniger and Kelenic were the headliners,
They would
of
be
that
like
year,
the centerpiece of the deal.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, a million times yes. I would do that deal in a heartbeat. Soto is 23. And I'm sorry,
Even if
but
what if you didn't believe you could sign him for the long term?
like he just won't sign.
You would have to pay him because he's a Scott Boras player, which means you're going to end up paying top of the market knowing his talent. And we already know he's turned down a $400 million deal with a $30 million a year
That
average.
was a 15 year deal.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even like those deals for the teams.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see why teams keep offering more years as if that's a good thing for them either. It's not.
Yeah.
But I would give him 7 years, $400 million. Like, there's no salary cap in baseball.
There's a luxury tax.
You're paying the same amount of money because it's guaranteed. So
You
you're
don't
not
think you're-
actually saving money, right?
Yeah, you don't think you're going to need to break the bank whenever Julio becomes arbitration? Like,
So I don't
you
know
have
what
to
the
pay.
luxury tax threshold is, but
Yeah.
I do know that in the most recent CBA that was negotiated,
Yeah.
the owners felt like they got a big win because they don't have a salary cap, but they have a soft cap of a luxury tax. It's basically the same system the NBA has. So once you go over a certain limit, you're paying out the nose
Yeah,
to pay more salary.
You
The
want to see the teams that
2022
win?
Sorry.
Besides the Nationals, the teams that are winning titles are teams that are paying the luxury tax. So do you want to win or not?
It's a competitive balance tax, and the threshold is 230 million.
Yeah, we're
So
not
that
even
was
close
one-
to that.
When you hear David Sampson, who used to be a team president of the Marlins, tell it,
Yeah.
he's like, the players came to the negotiating table worried about things like personal chefs and soda machines, which we didn't care about at all, and they totally overlooked the fact that we were putting a soft salary cap on.
Yeah, but
teams.
230 million.
The Seattle Mariners are 22nd with
Yeah.
a salary, like a total salary thingy of
salary
136.8 million.
How many teams, if you don't mind me asking, do you have the list in front of you? How many are above that? What did you say the threshold was?
230.
How many are above it?
I will read them off to you.
Okay.
San Diego Padres, Philadelphia Phillies, Boston Red Sox, New York Yankees, Los Angeles Dodgers, New York Mets.
Okay, so 6 teams out of 30 are over the threshold.
That was from the lowest to the highest.
Okay.
So,
The Mets
Hey,
are
the
spending the most?
oh,
They're
dude,
good this year, though.
they're
Aren't they? Hold on, let me check the
they're
standings.
good, but they're also stupid spenders. They're not good spenders. But if you are spending a ton on Juan Soto and Julio Rodriguez, that's good spending.
Yeah, that's good
That's-
ROI there.
Yeah, exactly. So I would absolutely give up Kelenic and Haniger and probably Hancock, which would that would
Hancock
hurt.
would be the one that would. So to me,
Oh, the Mets are 58 and 35.
I love Kelenic. I like Haniger. I realize that Haniger's a better player, but I just personality wise, I really enjoy Kelenic. I would be sad to see them go, but if you bring in Soto for those two, I'm going, yeah, he's proven. He is a superstar.
Yeah.
What if you had to throw Marte in there?
I was gonna say that's where those extra
I
prospects.
left him out specifically.
That's where it starts to get like, ooh.
Because Marte could be the next A-Rod. Could be the next Carlos Correa.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know. Carlos
The
Correa
next
is on my
A-Rod.
fantasy team
They
right
are
now. It's
okay.
a bad thing.
Okay, so both of those guys have their downsides.
Well, Correa's a
Do you
cheater.
mean like as
Yeah.
a player, not as a person?
Yes, I mean
Okay.
as players, because both of the guys were turds for people. But that's the type of dude you're looking at, where you're
What
just
does
like
he play?
shortstop.
Well, we have a shortstop, Daniel.
I know, and that's the thing.
I think that's why he comes
but
up.
I
in
bet
That's
he can play
why he
second
comes up,
base.
because we love Crawford. We love who he is, right? But Noelve Marte could be Julio Rodriguez shortstop.
How old is Crawford? Is Crawford old enough that?
Oh, he's like mid-20s, right?
He's pretty young still.
Yeah.
But Crawford's the type of guy where I could see him moving around, just maybe to second.
Or would Marte come play second?
Marte would not play second. If he did move, he would move to third.
Crawford's a Gold
already have
Glove
a third baseman.
shortstop.
What?
Crawford's a Gold Glove shortstop.
Crawford is a Gold Glove shortstop. Marte he's an A-Rod build, dude. Like, it is crazy.
I don't like you comparing players to A-Rod.
I know, but dude,
I
Mariners.
really don't like it.
Think about Mariners.
This is how I feel every one time someone calls Julio J-Rod.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Mariners A-Rod was absolutely bonkers. Mariners A-Rod
Was on
made
PEDs.
what?
I said was on PEDs.
Maybe, but when he was a rookie, his first 2 years, he didn't look like it.
Really?
And he was just some freakazoid young player who came off and took the world by storm on the same team that Ken Griffey Jr. was on. Like, he was competing with Ken Griffey Jr. stats-wise. It's insane. So that's what I'm worried about, because you see comparisons or you look at him and you're like, oh.
How old is he?
So that's Marte. He's like 18.
So he's
He's
like
super young.
So actually, wait, hold on though. So if he's
17, 18 years old. He's super young.
is he gonna come up in the next 2 years?
That's the thing.
Because I was
Yeah,
asking.
that's a good
Why I
question.
was asking about Crawford, because if he's that young, if he comes up at like, if he comes up in two or 3 years, Crawford might be older, and it might make more sense to move him to second or
That's a
something
good point.
like that.
Yeah. So Noelve Marte, he's not quite as big as A-Rod, so I'm a little off there. He's only 6'1", which is still
Probably no
taller
steroids.
for a shortstop. He's listed at 180, and he's 20. So 1 to
he's
2
not-
years.
not
He's
that
not
far
as young
back,
as I
yeah.
thought he was. So he's not already up, so he's not A-Rod. So I'm going to backtrack part of that.
That's good though. I appreciate him not being like A-Rod.
Screw it. I love Juan Soto so much, I would say throw him into the deal too.
So Marte, Haniger, and Kelenic.
Yeah.
In addition to some lower level prospects, you'd be good with parting for that for Soto.
Yeah.
Knowing that there's a possibility you only get a year and a half out of Soto.
Yeah, but knowing there's a possibility, but your goal is to just throw money at him.
Yes. I don't think anyone trades for him that kind of collateral without knowing that I'm going to at least try to keep this guy here.
Yeah.
Is it possible to negotiate with him before you trade?
I mean, no, but
Not
yes.
technically,
Well, they do that,
Yeah.
and they do that in football though.
Oh,
don't
they 100% do it
Yeah.
in baseball too.
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say but you're not supposed to.
Yeah, technically.
I always assumed that it was allowed in baseball, or in
don't
football, because you get the things where they're trading for so and so, and then the next day they sign them.
I'm
to
certain
a deal
it's
or
not
something.
allowed in football.
Really?
But they
Oh,
do it
okay.
anyway.
Okay.
Or the sign and trade where they sign him and then immediately trade
Yeah,
him.
maybe a sign and trade would be allowed though.
Yeah.
Like because you're just talking to the team's talking to them.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
But could you imagine Kyle Lewis, Julio Rodriguez, and Juan Soto in the same friggin' outfield?
Is that 3 rookies of the year?
Yes. If Juan Soto wasn't the rookie of the year, I'd be shocked. We should probably find that out.
Thank you. I was about to say I should knock on wood.
Anyway, so that maybe I think too much of Juan Soto.
Well, he's only batting something like 257 this year, so
Well, he sounds bad to me.
But remember, he's also playing on a trash team.
yeah. And that was another thing is I felt like seeing the quote from him that said, "I don't want to keep losing." That was a direct quote from Juan Soto.
Yeah.
That at least possibly a factor of him turning down a 15-year deal with the Nationals is this team blows. The owners are already talking about possibly looking at options to sell the team. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. Don't know if I want to be here. He doesn't need to rush into making those decisions.
Yeah. I mean, this is a down year for him. I mean, he was playing for the Nationals at age 19.
Jeez.
And
How old is
So
Julio?
he would have some veterans. Not only is he an amazing young player, but he would have some veteran experience as
and
well.
he has a World Series ring in which that series he hit 333 with with how many
I don't
home
like
runs did
this
I-
conversation because
think you
it's
said
making
three,
it's making me consider the possibility as like it being a possibility.
It won't happen.
And I don't like that.
Dude, there's no way.
Yeah.
I don't think Jerry is thinking about trading Kelnick, and I just don't think that. I don't think it's a possibility, so I don't think you have to worry about it. I'm just saying that I would do it. And could somebody then get hurt and then blow it all to smithereens because you gave up your depth for one guy? Yes.
I think what's obvious is that this team has earned the right to be added to.
You shut
Yes.
your mouth.
Oh,
That's what Jerry said last year.
oh boy.
He added Abraham Toro.
And Diego Castillo.
Diego Castillo, the Russian. Any more Mariners?
No. I think I probably pontificated way too much on that. I'm sorry. I apologize.
It's what it's what I was looking for at least. Is that like it's what's going on in my head as I'm like, oh no.
Well,
I want
before-
it to be a good thing. I want it to be exciting.
That's the thing, though. I want Kelenic to be good.
yeah.
I want it.
Smell
But
you
does
later.
that mean that's going to happen? No. And we know other people who are good.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm trying to keep my head on.
Well, before yesterday, I didn't super know who Juan Soto was. We have mailbag on the other side of this. We're going to talk about the wiffle ball tourney, what we're going to do with
Haven't
our
we already
slogan.
took 2 breaks?
No, did we take? Oh yeah, you're right. Sorry, we took a break because you went to the bathroom.
Yeah,
I
I'm
forgot.
sorry.
No, you're
I
good.
thought you were going to a break for that, so then I took off.
Should we take an extra break? No extra break.
No extra
We do need to talk in the mailbag segment.
Yes.
We don't have any actual mailbag
The
questions.
mailbag.
Yes,
Send
the
us your
mailbag.
stuff. Send us your stuff in a mailbag.
So there's a pressing question here. First of all, for those who don't know, there is a wiffle ball tournament going on in August. We will be sponsoring a team, and our plan is to go to this tournament. We're not going to play. We've played the last couple of years. This year, we're not going to play.
I have been recruited by one of our strongest competitors in the last couple of years.
By Tracy's team?
Wait, you're
Yeah.
not playing?
We have a team.
But you said we're not playing.
We're not playing, but we have a team. We're going to sponsor a team.
We're not
That will
playing?
be the scrimmage team. We're not playing, but we're going to set up a booth and we're going to record a live podcast and also have hopefully some merchandise there that we can give out.
Yep.
Maybe we'll have like some awards for the players that do really well.
That could be the A-Rod of the show. You play for a different
You're
team.
not playing for Tracy's stupid team. You can coach our team, Mr. Babe Ruth. Okay. How about that? All right. I'll make sure that all the kids ditch because of a travel ball.
And then we'll have to play.
Oh.
Anyway, for the last couple of years, we've had a team we've all played.
Yes.
It's really fun.
It's a ton of fun. It's so much fun.
And we've had, in each season, we get jerseys custom made.
Yep.
And we pick a slogan. So the first year, 2 years ago, we had Smell You Later.
Yep.
And we had Jared Kellenick's silhouette on our shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, we had Seager, and we did Simply Seager.
Yes.
So in addition to having the scrimmage, and then everybody will have their names and numbers on the backs of the shirts, we need to pick a Mariners player to represent our team and a slogan to go with it.
Yes.
Now, Andrew pushed hard immediately for Viva la France.
Yes.
Yeah.
Vive la France.
I'm a bit of a Francophile now.
I know. Weird. I never in my life thought that I would say Vive la France so happily, so often.
Yeah.
And yet, gosh, one Mariners player who I love named France has just changed my life.
So a couple other options we have.
Decked out in red, white, and blue.
Because I thought, well, Julio Rodriguez is the story of the season.
Yes.
We need to pick something Julio related, but his thing is the J-Rod show.
I have a...
And I cringe at J-Rod. We've covered this.
Yes.
I have a slogan for if you guys want to do Julio.
Okay.
Just keep swimming. Because you said that you wanted Julio falling down, getting to...
I did say that. We
right.
should use the silhouette of Julio falling down between second and third.
That'd be a good one.
Because that was so funny.
Yeah.
I like that idea. And then the other one was suggested from one of our athletes that's going to be representing us.
Okay.
And he said we should use 2 Out Raleigh.
I love that one.
I love it, except for we would...
If we do that one, my nickname is going to be Big Dumper.
Big Dumper.
Big Dumper.
Like, that's a good one. Who are our athletes? You sound like you have this all lined up already.
Well, I have. I had my son reach out to several of his friends.
Do we get Beast Boat again?
That's the plan. The plan is
what
to
do we
have,
need to do to make it happen?
The plan is to have Bodie back.
Okay, good.
I'm also
We're working on a name, image, and likeness deal.
I'm in negotiations with some other Montesano athletes, such as Jackson Wilson, Camden Taylor.
Okay, what age are all these kids?
Skylar Bovey. They're all in Peyton's grade. They're all going to be juniors.
Okay, because, I mean, I know Andrew knows a couple of high school kids. I know more high school kids than I thought I would either. So if we need, like, one more guy, who knows? I might be able to reach out to somebody, too.
So I put official recruitment offers out to 6 athletes, which would fill out the roster.
Okay.
I have heard back from 5 of them with soft commitments.
Okay.
So I'm
Are
working.
Going to have a ceremony?
I'm working on finalizing. Yeah, they'll have all the hats in front of them. You got the St. James Gate hat and the Scrimmage hat, and I don't remember any of the other teams' hats. Yeah. Ooh, we did do custom hats this year? Oh. I love that idea.
Yes.
I super love it.
Anyway, I've got a couple kids in mind who would be fun additions if we have a spot open. So yes. Gosh darn it. Make sure you let me know.
Okay.
Quickly, because
there's only one I'm waiting to hear back
while
from.
we love Montesano,
well, mostly I was thinking, number one, I want to make sure that kids that are recruited are ones that I know and like and trust. So I started with that.
Okay. That's a good start.
And I figured we go out from there.
Yeah. All right. You just lowered the amount of kids that I would ask.
Okay. Secondary is we want to win.
Okay.
But no like and trust was primary.
Yeah. Do we have some good pitchers on this team?
Oh, we got pitchers, bro.
Okay,
we
good.
got pitchers. But I think there's going to be a radar gun that limits speed.
I've heard that they just moved the mound back.
Ooh.
Oh, I like that.
Which would make it harder to throw strikes, too.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. I don't know. These are our rumors from a Mariners game I went to while I was being recruited to play for another team. And I was like, dude, I'm coming off an Achilles injury. And he was like, I don't care. And I was like, you have way more trust.
You're not playing for Tracy's team.
What if I could play with a former NFL player?
Who? What? Whoa, hold on a second. Is Joel playing in the tournament?
Could be. It's a soft thing, I think.
It's a soft commitment.
It's a soft commitment, yeah.
Is he going to decommit like Gigi did?
Hopefully not.
Hopefully he.
Because then we could have him on the live podcast there.
I hope Joel does play because I like him and I'd like to see him.
Exactly. I know Ben's playing.
Ben hit too many dingers last year. I don't want him there.
Yeah. I want to pitch against Ben.
No.
Is Ben his cousin?
What?
Is Ben his cousin?
Brother.
Brother. Okay.
Brother. Yeah,
Wow.
little brother.
He's so much bigger.
Joel's okay, but that's not because
Ben's
okay. In fairness, Ben's not small.
Yeah.
Joel is a monster.
Yes. Yes. That's
Yeah.
I didn't mean that as a slight to Ben. Ben
Yeah.
is like
That was just for clarification.
Yeah.
I didn't think you were insulting him.
Yeah.
But that's real.
Okay.
Like Joel's really
So,
I had assumed that they were from a different.
would there be any slogan for JP? I feel like I feel like if we did Robbie Ray, it would just be like, yeah. Gosh, it drives me nuts.
big. It's like a tennis player.
Seriously, it is.
It drives me nuts that it drives you nuts.
That's
I
understandable.
feel like you should be used to that.
Okay,
I feel
but
like I have
your
PTSD for a
dad
minute.
literally yells when he lifts for extra strength.
I think that that statement right there should tell you why it drives me nuts.
Okay.
So here's the thing. We got to weigh out. Like Viva la France is an amazing logo
Yes.
and slogan.
And
it's
we
kind
would
of a
have
hipster
him.
pick. Ty France is a little bit of a hipster
Yeah,
pick.
I admitted that.
Yeah.
Also, you got to think that the silhouette we would have, he would have a baguette instead of a bat.
Can you make that happen?
I
He's
can.
swinging a baguette.
I can make that happen.
Can we just do our own thing and just
Should we
use
present-
Julio and call him the gifted one?
We could do that.
Or Neo from the Matrix.
Should we all make our own?
Matrix, like the
like a
letters,
Matrix
the green
style
letters
and
with
have it
the-
Julio, but he's like dodging bullets or whatever?
No, just Julio swinging, but with the Matrix.
Okay.
I-
Yeah.
Should we all make our own logo and present it?
That sounds like a lot of
That
work.
sounds like a lot of work. I don't want to work on a logo if it is going to be used.
That's true.
You know,
How
it's
are
like
we- well,
we
how
were
are we
talking
gonna-
about, just real quick, we were talking about...
What would people want most on a shirt? Because it'd be sweet
Oh,
if we could make this
Julio.
logo and then sell these shirts.
Oh, that's cool. That's
Probably
true.
Julio.
But I don't think we can sell shirts that have
That's a good
someone
point.
else's likeness
Never
on
mind.
them.
We never said that.
I was working on logos because as I was looking at like, okay, we wanted to have some merchandise to bring and give away that's like
Yeah.
a promotional merchandise. So I was messing around with little logos for our show, and everything we've ever done is just kind of black and white. And I was like, if we had colors that represent our show, what would they be? And Andrew correctly pointed out it would be tar heel blue, crimson for the Cougars, and then
Yeah.
orange for the Beavers.
Yep.
And then
What's
I
the
put
name of that orange?
orange.
Do you know a name?
It's just orange.
Really?
And I
don't
put
know.
all three of them
it's
together.
Kind of gone to an electric like traffic cone orange lately.
Well, I put all three of them together in a logo,
Yeah.
and it looks horrible.
Yeah, does not look
Shocking.
Real bad.
good. See, I saw that, and you know what? When Andrew said we should all have colors from our
Yeah.
different things, I immediately thought, well, you guys, crimson and baby blue actually looks pretty good together, and black for the background. Like you
But
don't
then we're
have to
leaving
go
out the
orange.
orange, though. Then
No,
what
but you have
about the
black,
Beavs?
orange and black.
That's true. Actually, I've always said if we ever moved somewhere else, it would be to Stevenson. Because the Stevenson Bulldogs
Have great colors.
have maroon and baby blue.
Daniel,
and they're Bulldogs.
They
You
go
should-
together very well.
They really do.
You should be ashamed that you didn't know that it is beaver orange and paddle tail black.
That sounds made up.
That is the
So-
stupidest thing I've ever heard.
paddle tail black is made up because it's just black, but the Pantone number for beaver orange doesn't have a name, so I'm pretty sure that would be the name.
Orange.
Orange. So I'm willing to let the Beavers color be black in that situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we go crimson, baby blue, and black.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna do some mock-ups.
Do some mock-ups of
And
that
work it
because
out.
I think that would work a lot better.
Yeah.
If like either baby blue or crimson was the primary, and then you had the secondary, and the black was like the outline / background. I think that would look pretty good.
Also, you got the additional benefit that crimson is also Hoquiam colors. So that kind of
true.
represents you as well, and you're a WSU alum.
Exactly. So really, I'm being represented a lot and allowing you to use the black. I do got to say, though, I think it was it your wife? Was it Angel who came up with that original logo
Yeah.
with like the lines through it?
Yeah.
That's a really good
Yes.
logo.
I really like
Like-
it. She threw that together in literally like 14 minutes.
That's really annoying.
She's
that
gifted.
That's annoying that she threw that together so quick because the logos you were presenting, I was like, those look good, but I don't think they're as good as that original logo
So,
she did.
and just for reference, those were not intended to look like, hey, here's the finished product of what we would use.
Yeah, I assume
it
so.
was like, here's kind of a maybe idea of what it might look like.
Yeah.
And then I'll do something that looks better when it's real. But yeah, no, yes, you're right. And it's such a simple thing because I always want a clean look
yes.
on a logo, but I don't know how to make it look clean and also not boring.
I'm surprised we don't have that logo up anywhere on our Facebook page. I was just like, I wanted to.
Well, yeah,
like-
I use it on.
Has anyone done anything on the Facebook page since I left Facebook? Like, I don't mean like posting things, but I mean like editing the profile and stuff.
Our profile picture is the same.
I don't have a beard in our profile picture.
Yeah.
I think it's weird.
None of us have beards in our profile picture.
We all look really different.
We look super young
Yeah.
and baby faced.
I don't-
We need
I
to
actually-
we need to take some more pictures.
I kind of don't like looking at it because I'm like, that was only a few years ago. Why do we all look so much older now?
It's true.
Have we aged each other? We all have wrinkles and just look like grumpy old. We could be the cover of the movie Grumpy Old Men.
Oh, I feel like my new job's gonna make me. I think I think I should shave off a little bit because I'm back to like the Amish style beard, and I think I need to trim that up a little bit
Do
more.
you want to take a minute to talk about your life transition?
I don't know, man.
Can you do it?
Yeah, so I'm starting a new job tomorrow. And no longer going to be on KXRO. No longer going to be on the radio doing the news. So it's super weird. It is very bizarre to think about, seeing that I've been doing that I've worked at the station. I'm still going to be there in a very part-time capacity because they are going to allow me to still do sports if I'm allowed to do that from my other company that I'm working for, which is the Lewis County PUD. So yeah, that it's a huge change and it's going to be very weird, and I will find out more this week.
It won't affect anything about how we bring our podcast to you.
Yeah, that's
Everything will be the same.
Yep.
This is one instance where I'm saying this is good for the listeners instead of screw you listeners.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I'm hoping that I'll still be able to do all of the same local sports coverage during the basketball and football seasons, but we'll see. Because I don't know. Yeah. I think that's going to do it for our show.
So yeah.
We got to figure out we did not come to a decision on our show logo.
We make a
and
Twitter poll
Should
about
we
it?
do a Twitter poll? Do we pick a slogan for Julio? Or are we going to do a Matrix thing if we do
You
Julio?
didn't like just go swimming? Just keep swimming?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that's true too. No,
I think-
I
actually,
think that's mostly a joke, but
I think we should come up with 2 Julios and France. And I do realize that
And
that
a
might
cow.
give France more of an
What
option.
about the big dumper?
Oh, okay. So we
2
come
out
up-
Raleigh.
So we do a Twitter poll with a J-Rod show.
Okay.
Like Just Keep Swimming.
A 2 out Raleigh.
Out Raleigh.
And a Viva la France.
And a Viva la France.
J-Rod show, not the one.
Oh, okay. Let's do that instead of J-Rod show since we don't really like that.
Yeah. I was surprised that you went with it.
So we're going to do Just Keep Swimming, The One, Viva la France, and 2 out Raleigh. Okay. I like
Even
it.
though I like Big Dumper better than 2 out Raleigh, but
Yeah.
I like the pun. The
Yeah.
pun
Yeah.
is pretty sweet
Yeah.
The
there.
pun's
so,
dope. I like
yeah.
it too.
So we'll go with that. We'll let the fans decide what we should do. And then we'll put that on our jerseys. But as you mentioned, we probably can't sell those.
We probably can't sell those.
Could we
but
do a giveaway?
If it's I'm not sure what the rules are, but if it's original artwork, like
that's
if
a good point.
if we're coming up with original artwork,
I think if it doesn't have their name or likeness on it.
I mean, throwing this out there, remember when Jacknut made their shirts?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure they won all of those things.
oh really?
I don't think they. I
The
remember.
You Mad Bro shirts.
Yeah, the
I know
UMad
that
Bro
ended
shirts.
up in legal trouble, but I didn't know if...
Yeah, but I'll reach out and see what happened with those and see what we're able to do. Because it'd be fun if we could A, do a giveaway, and B, offer them to the public.
I don't think there would be any issue with us giving them away.
Yeah.
I think there would only be an issue if we sold them.
Yes.
So regardless, we'll have some stuff there.
Yes.
And I'm also thinking like it'd be cool to get some like little foam footballs and water bottles and other stuff that has our logo on it
Nice.
to either give away or sell.
I like this plan.
Or both.
This is a good plan.
Or burn.
Good plan, great plan.
So for my co-host Daniel Beavertail Black Hargrove
And my co-host, Justin, earned the right to be added to Domashevitz.
and our trusty producer Andrew Total Salary Thingy Gross,
You've been listening to the script.
which is brought to you by Oli Penn Real Estate and the law office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz. No relation.
What's the A stand for?